Rain fell softly outside the new Seoul Space Research Center. Inside the warm building, Dr. Jae-ho Park sat at his desk, looking through the data from the world's most powerful solar telescope. The gentle sound of rain helped him focus on his work. He had been studying the sun for 15 years, but tonight was different. "This can't be right," he whispered to himself. He took off his glasses and cleaned them with his white coat. When he put them back on, the strange patterns were still there on his computer screen. The sun's outer layer, called the corona, was showing something he had never seen before. Dr. Hae-Nul Kim, his friend and fellow scientist, walked into the room with 2 cups of hot tea. "You're still here, Ji-ho. It's almost midnight." She placed 1 cup next to his computer and sat down in the chair beside him. "Hae-Nul, look at this." Ji-ho pointed to his screen. "These light patterns in the corona, they're repeating. Like they're trying to make shapes." Hae-Nul leaned closer to the screen. Her eyes widened as she watched the golden streams of solar energy move in perfect circles and lines. "This isn't random," she said quietly. "The sun doesn't make patterns like this naturally." Ji-ho nodded and typed some commands into his computer. More images appeared, showing the same patterns happening over and over again. "I've checked the equipment 3 times. The telescope is working perfectly. These patterns are real." Outside, the rain grew stronger, creating a peaceful backdrop to their amazing discovery. Hae-Nul took a sip of her tea and started taking notes. "How long has this been happening?" "I first noticed it about 3 hours ago," Ji-ho answered. He pressed a button, and a video started playing on the screen. "Watch this part carefully." The video showed the sun's surface. Suddenly, bright lines of light began moving in the corona. They formed perfect geometric shapes, triangles, squares, and circles, before changing into new patterns. It looked like a beautiful dance of light. "It's almost like..." Hae-Nul paused, hardly believing what she was about to say. "It's almost like someone is drawing in the sun's corona." Ji-ho smiled. After years of watching the sun, he had never felt more excited. "Yes, that's exactly what it looks like. And look at this." He showed her another set of images. "The patterns repeat every 12 minutes. Nature doesn't work like that. These movements are too perfect, too planned." Hae-Nul stood up and walked to the window. The rain made pretty patterns on the glass. "Should we tell the director?" she asked. "Not yet," Ji-ho replied. "Let's gather more data first. We need to be completely sure." He looked at his watch. "Can you stay and help me record these patterns for a few more hours?" Hae-Nul smiled and sat back down at her desk. "Of course. This could be the biggest discovery in human history. I'm not going anywhere." They worked through the night, recording every pattern and taking detailed notes. The rain continued to fall, and their tea grew cold, forgotten in the excitement of their work. Neither of them knew it yet, but they were watching humanity's first contact with an alien intelligence, one that lived in the very heart of their solar system. As the night went on, the patterns grew more complex. Sometimes they formed shapes that looked like letters from an unknown alphabet. Other times they moved like waves in an ocean of light. Ji-ho and Hae-Nul recorded everything, their excitement growing with each new pattern. By the time the sun rose over New Seoul the next morning, they had collected enough evidence to prove that something incredible was happening. Something that would change the way humans thought about their place in the universe forever. The rain had stopped, and a new day was beginning. A day that would mark the start of humanity's greatest adventure. 1 week after Ji-ho and Hae-Nul's discovery, the new Seoul Space Research Center was buzzing with activity. Scientists from all over the world had come to study the strange patterns in the sun. Among them was Yeon-woo Lee, a young researcher who specialized in patterns and codes. Yeon-woo sat in the main control room, watching the latest solar recordings. Next to her, Dr. Sun Mi-choi adjusted the settings on their new pattern recognition software. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of computers and the steady rhythm of rain outside. There's definitely a message here, Yunwu said, pointing to her screen. Look how the light patterns change every time they repeat. It's like they're trying different ways to talk to us. Sunli nodded and typed something into her computer. The patterns are getting more organized. See how they form groups now. She showed Yunwu a series of images. It's as if they learned that we're watching them. The patterns on the screen were beautiful. Lines of golden light danced across the sun's surface, forming shapes that looked more and more like writing. Some patterns appeared over and over, while others changed slightly each time. Dr. Choi, Yunwu said suddenly, sitting up straighter. What if we try to match these patterns with basic mathematical concepts? She quickly opened a new program on her computer. Every advanced civilization would understand math. Right. Sunli smiled at the young researcher's excitement. That's good thinking. What do you have in mind? Yunwu began typing rapidly. Let's start with simple numbers. 1, 2, 3, represented by different numbers of light pulses. She paused the video on a particular pattern. Look at this one. It repeats 3 times, then shows a different symbol. They worked through the afternoon, matching patterns with numbers. The rain continued outside, creating a peaceful atmosphere in the control room. Other scientists came and went, but Yunwu and Sunmi stayed focused on their work. Suddenly, Yunwu gasped. Dr. Choi, look at this. She pointed to a series of patterns that had just appeared on the sun's surface. The lights were moving in a way they hadn't seen before. Sunli leaned closer to the screen. The new pattern showed a series of circles, each one containing a different number of light pulses. After the circles, there was a pause, and then the pattern repeated. It's pi, Sunmi whispered. They're showing us the first few digits of pi. She quickly counted the pulses in each circle. 3.14159. They're using universal mathematical constants to communicate. The control room burst into activity as more scientists gathered around their computers. This was the proof they had been waiting for. These patterns were definitely messages from an intelligent source. Yunwu couldn't stop smiling as she recorded the new patterns. They're not just trying to talk to us, she said. They're teaching us their language using math as a bridge. Over the next few hours, more mathematical patterns appeared in the sun's corona. The beings, which they now called the Solarians, showed them square roots, the golden ratio, and other mathematical constants. Each new pattern helped Yunwu and the team better understand their way of communicating. As evening fell, the rain stopped, and the first stars appeared in the sky. The team had made more progress in one day than they had all week. They were finally beginning to understand the language of these solar beings. Tomorrow, Sunmi said as they prepared to leave for the night, we'll try to send them a message back. Simple math, just like they showed us. She looked at Yunwu with pride. And you, young lady, will help lead that project. Yunwu nodded, feeling both excited and nervous about what the next day would bring. Humanity was about to have its first real conversation with beings from the sun, and she would be part of that historic moment. 2 months after establishing basic communication with the Solarians, project leader Do-hyun Kang walked into the main conference room of the new Seoul Space Research Center. The room was filled with scientists from different countries, all waiting to hear about the latest messages from the sun. Do-hyun stood at the front of the room, looking at the large screen behind him. It showed the most recent solar patterns they had received. Myra Song, their top physicist, sat in the front row, ready to explain what they had learned. Good morning, everyone, Do-hyun said, his voice calm but excited. Yesterday, we received something extraordinary from the Solarians. Myra, please show them what we found. Myra stood up and pressed a button on her tablet. The screen showed a series of beautiful light patterns. The Solarians have sent us detailed information about their energy technology, she explained. But more importantly, they've invited us to visit them. The room filled with surprised whispers. Visit the sun. It seemed impossible. But Mireille continued with a smile. They've shown us how to make special shields that can protect a spacecraft from the sun's heat, she said. The technology is amazing but actually quite simple. It uses the sun's own energy to create a protective barrier. Do-hyun nodded and pointed to another set of patterns on the screen. The Solarians want to teach us how to use solar energy in ways we never imagined. They say they can help solve Earth's energy problems forever. The scientists in the room looked at the patterns with wonder. The Solarians had drawn detailed diagrams showing how their technology worked. It was like nothing they had seen before, yet somehow it made perfect sense. We've already started building a test shield using their instructions, Mayray added. She showed them a video of a small laboratory where engineers were working on a shiny, silvery material. Early tests show it can withstand temperatures much higher than anything we've made before. Do-hyun walked to the window and looked at the sunny sky outside. The Solarians have given us a great opportunity, he said. But they've also given us a challenge. They want to know if we're ready to take this big step. He turned back to the room. We need to build a spacecraft that can travel closer to the sun than ever before. We need brave people who are willing to make this journey. And we need to do it all within 6 months. Mayray showed more images on the screen. The Solarians have promised to guide us every step of the way. They're already sending us more information about space travel and solar physics. They seem very eager to meet us in person. The room was quiet for a moment as everyone thought about this amazing opportunity. Then one scientist raised his hand. How can we be sure they're telling the truth? How do we know it's safe? Do-hyun smiled. That's a good question. The Solarians knew we would be worried about this. That's why they've shown us how to test everything on a small scale first. They want us to be sure and comfortable before we take any risks. Mayray added, they've also shared their history with us. They've helped other civilizations before. They say they love meeting new species and sharing knowledge. As the meeting continued, rain began to fall outside, creating a peaceful background sound. The scientists discussed plans, shared ideas, and looked at more messages from the Solarians. Everyone could feel that they were part of something historic. At the end of the meeting, Do-hyun made an announcement. We're calling this mission Project Morning Calm. We'll build humanity's first solar exploration ship, and we'll make our first real contact with the Solarians. Who wants to be part of this journey? Every hand in the room went up. The adventure was about to begin. The spacecraft, Morning Calm, stood ready on its launch pad. After 6 months of intense preparation, the day of departure had arrived. Captain Tae-yang Shin stood at the ship's main window, watching the sunrise. The ship's special shields, developed by engineer Soo-jin Baek, gleamed in the morning light. All systems are ready, Captain Soo-jin reported, checking the final readings on her control panel. The shield generator hummed softly, creating a peaceful background sound throughout the ship. The Solarian shield technology is working perfectly. Tae-yang nodded and pressed the ship's communication button. Mission Control, this is Morning Calm. We are ready for final checks. The voice of Mission Director Do-hyun Kang came through clearly. Understood, Morning Calm. Weather conditions are perfect. You have clearance to begin launch sequence. The crew of 5 took their positions. Each of them had trained extensively for this historic mission. They would be the first humans to travel close to the sun, guided by the Solarians themselves. Shield strength at 100%, Soo-jin announced. She had spent countless hours perfecting the protective technology. The Solarian cooling system is responding exactly as they showed us. First Officer Mayray-song began the launch countdown. The ship's engines powered up smoothly, their gentle vibration spreading through the cabin. 10, 9, 8. As the countdown continued, Tae-yang thought about their mission. They would travel closer to the sun than any human had ever gone. The Solarians had promised to meet them in the outer corona, where temperatures reached millions of degrees, but their new shields would keep them safe. 3, 2, 1. Launch. The Morning Calm lifted off with surprising gentleness. The new engines, built using Solarian designs, worked differently from traditional rockets. Instead of explosive force, they used a smooth flow of energy that felt more like floating than launching. As they rose through the atmosphere, the sky changed from blue to black. The stars appeared, bright and clear. But the crew's attention was focused on the largest star of all, the sun, growing larger in their view. First stage complete, Mayray reported. Beginning solar approach trajectory. She looked at her instruments with satisfaction. The Solarians were right. These engines use almost no fuel. They're drawing energy directly from the sun. The journey to their meeting point would take 3 days. During this time, the crew watched in amazement as their ship shields handled the increasing solar radiation perfectly. The inside of the ship stayed cool and comfortable, even as the temperature outside rose to incredible levels. On the second day, they received their first direct message from the Solarians. Patterns of light danced across their main screen, forming words in the language they had learned. "Welcome, friends," Sujin translated. "You are doing very well. We are eager to meet you." Tai Yang smiled as he sent back a response using their ship's light transmitter. The ability to communicate directly with the Solarians felt like magic, even though he understood the science behind it. As they entered the third day of their journey, the sun filled their entire view. Its surface was a spectacular sight: waves of plasma, massive eruptions, and beautiful patterns of light that the crew now recognized as Solarian activities. "Look at that," Mayray whispered in awe. Through their specially designed windows, they could see the Solarians themselves for the first time. Beings of pure energy moving through the sun's corona like graceful dancers. Preparing for final approach, Tai Yang announced, "Everyone ready for humanity's first face-to-face meeting with the Solarians." His crew nodded, their faces showing a mixture of excitement and wonder. They had trained for months, but nothing could have fully prepared them for this moment. They were about to make history. The morning calm held its position in the sun's outer corona. Through the special viewing windows, the crew watched in amazement as beams of pure light approached their ship. Dr. Yunho Nam stood at his station, making final adjustments to the communication interface he had designed specifically for this moment. "Interface systems are ready," Yunho reported to Captain Tai Yang. "The translation matrix is active and stable." His voice was calm, but his hands trembled slightly with excitement as he worked at his control panel. The Solarians moved closer to the ship. They looked like streams of golden light, flowing and changing shape with graceful movements. Some were as small as humans, while others stretched for kilometers through space. Their bodies glowed with different colors, creating beautiful patterns in the corona. Receiving first direct transmission, Yunho announced. The ship's main screen came to life, showing patterns of light that the interface transformed into words. "Welcome to our home," the message read. "We are honored to meet you face to face at last." Captain Tai Yang stepped forward. The interface translated his words into pulses of light that the ship transmitted outward. "The honor is ours," he replied. "We thank you for inviting us here." The Solarians moved in what looked like a dance of joy. Their light patterns became brighter and more complex. Through the interface, they explained that they had been watching Earth for a long time, waiting for humans to develop enough to make contact. "Your species is young," they said, "but you learn quickly. We have much to share with you." Su Jin monitored the ship's shields as several Solarians came even closer. "Shield stability at 100%, she reported. "The Solarian technology is working perfectly." One of the light beams moved to each window of the ship, allowing the crew to see them clearly. Through the interface, they explained that they were a civilization millions of years old. They lived within the sun, using its endless energy to power their society. "We are not the only solar beings in the universe," they explained. "Many stars host life like ours. We help young species like yours learn to use stellar energy safely." Mayray couldn't contain her curiosity. "How do you create and store your technology within the sun?" she asked through the interface. The Solarians' response came with detailed diagrams showing on the main screen. They explained how they shaped solar plasma into tools and machines, how they stored information in magnetic fields, and how they traveled through the sun's layers like humans travel through air. "Would you like to see more?" they asked. "We can show you our cities." The crew looked at each other in surprise. "Cities?" Yunho asked. "Inside the sun." The Solarians guided the morning calm deeper into the corona, always ensuring their shields could handle the conditions. As they moved closer, the crew saw amazing sights. Huge structures made of contained plasma stretched through space. Thousands of Solarians moved among these structures, their light bodies forming complex patterns. "This is one of our smaller communities," the Solarians explained. "Here, we study young stars and plan how to help developing civilizations." The crew watched in wonder as Solarians worked at tasks they could barely understand. Some shaped massive solar flares into useful energy patterns. Others communicated with distant stars using beams of light that stretched millions of kilometers through space. "All of this energy," Captain Tai Yang said softly, "all of this knowledge. And you want to share it with us?" "Yes," the Solarians replied. "We believe that knowledge should be shared. We want to help humanity join the community of stellar civilizations. Are you ready to learn?" 1 month after the first contact, Jinna Moon walked through the newly built Solar Communication Center in New Seoul. As Earth's chief diplomat to the Solarians, she had the important job of managing the exchange of knowledge between the two civilizations. The main hall of the center was filled with special screens that showed the constant stream of light messages from the Solarians. Scientists and researchers worked at different stations, studying the information being shared. The soft hum of computers filled the air, creating a peaceful working environment. "We have received new information about solar energy storage," a young researcher reported to Jinnah. The screen in front of them showed beautiful patterns of light that the computers translated into diagrams and text. "The Solarians are teaching us how to store sunshine for use at night and during cloudy days." Jinnah nodded and made notes on her tablet. The Solarians were very careful about sharing their knowledge. They gave information in small, easy-to-understand pieces, making sure humans mastered each concept before moving to the next one. "What are we sharing with them today?" Jinnah asked, looking at another screen where Earth's messages to the sun were being prepared. "We are sending them Earth music," the researcher replied. "They are very interested in how we create and enjoy sound. They want to understand how music makes us feel." This was something that made Jinnah smile. The Solarians were powerful beings with advanced technology, but they were deeply curious about human art and culture. They especially loved learning about things they couldn't experience themselves, like music, food, and the feeling of rain. Later that day, Jinnah attended a meeting with scientists who had just finished testing the first solar energy collector built using Solarian designs. The device was small, about the size of a dinner plate, but it could power an entire building. The Solarians were right, the lead scientist explained. Their method of collecting solar energy is 10 times more efficient than our best solar panels, and it's so simple once you understand the basic principles. Jinnah watched as they demonstrated the collector. It didn't look like much, just a clear disk with patterns etched into its surface, but it pulled in sunlight and converted it to clean energy with almost no waste. The Solarians had explained that this was just the beginning of what they could teach humanity. In the afternoon, Jinnah prepared for her daily communication session with the Solarians. She sat in a special room where walls of screens showed the sun's surface. The light beings appeared, their patterns gentle and friendly. "We have received your music," they said through the translation system. "It is beautiful. We have never experienced anything like it. Can you explain more about how humans create these patterns of sound?" Jinnah spent the next hour sharing videos of orchestras, traditional Korean drumming, and children singing. The Solarians watched with great interest, their light patterns changing to match the rhythms of the music. "We wish to share something in return," the Solarians said. They then created a stunning display of light and energy, making the sun's surface dance in patterns that matched the music they had heard. It was like watching the northern lights, but 1,000,000 times more beautiful. "This is how we make art," they explained. "We shape light and energy to express our feelings, just as you shape sound waves to make music." As the day ended, Jinnah felt deeply grateful for her role in this exchange. Every day, humans learn more about science and technology from the Solarians, and every day, the Solarians learned more about what it meant to be human. Both civilizations were growing richer through their friendship. Chief Engineer Wu Jin Quan stood on the observation deck of the International Solar Energy Complex, watching as the morning sun rose over the horizon. Below him, stretching for several kilometers, were rows of the new Solarian-designed energy collectors. Each one sparkled like a jewel in the early morning light. Today was special. After 6 months of preparation, they would activate the world's first large-scale Solarian energy network. Teams of engineers and scientists had worked day and night to build this facility, following the precise instructions provided by their solar friends. "All systems are ready for activation," reported his assistant through the communication system. "The Solarians are standing by to monitor the process." Wu Jin walked to the control room, where dozens of screens showed different parts of the facility. On the main screen, the familiar patterns of Solarian communication danced, showing their presence and support. "Begin activation sequence," Wu Jin commanded. His voice was calm, but his heart beat faster with excitement. This moment could change Earth forever. The collectors began to move, turning their faces toward the sun like flowers following the light. The special crystals inside them, grown using Solarian techniques, started to glow with a soft blue light. Energy readings on the monitors began to climb steadily. "First section online," announced a technician. "Energy conversion rate at 98% efficiency." This was far better than any human-made solar panel had ever achieved. Through the windows, Wu Jin could see the energy being collected. It looked like streams of light flowing through transparent pipes, moving toward the storage facilities underground. The Solarians had taught them how to store solar energy in special crystals that could hold it safely for months. "Second section online," came another report. "All readings normal. The distribution network is accepting power input." The Solarians sent a message of encouragement. "The system is performing exactly as designed. You have built it perfectly." As more sections came online, the facility began to generate enormous amounts of clean energy. But unlike traditional power plants, this one made no noise and produced no waste. The only sound was the gentle hum of the cooling systems. By midday, the facility was providing power to 3 major cities. People could see the difference in their homes and offices as they used this new clean energy. The lights were brighter, machines ran more smoothly, and there was a sense of unlimited potential. "Final section now online," the technicians reported. "Total system efficiency at 99%. We are now generating more power than all other energy sources in the region combined." The Solarians shared their joy through patterns of light that filled the control room screens. "This is just the beginning," they said. "Soon, you will be able to build these facilities all over your world. No one will lack for energy again." Wu Jin looked at the data flowing across his screens. The Solarians had given humanity more than just technology. They had given them hope for a cleaner, brighter future. The energy from this single facility could power millions of homes, and it was completely clean and safe. "Thank you." He sent a message to the Solarians. "You have changed our world." "No," the Solarians replied, their light patterns gentle and wise. "You have changed your own world. We merely showed you how. The work, the dedication, and the achievement are yours. We are honored to have helped." As the sun began to set, the facility continued to provide steady power from its storage systems. The age of endless, clean energy had begun, and with it, a new chapter in human history. 5 years had passed since humanity first made contact with the Solarians. Research Director Min Jae-yang stood at the window of the International Solar Observation Station, watching Earth rotate slowly below. The space station, built using a combination of human and Solarian technology, maintained a permanent position between Earth and the Sun. The view was breathtaking. Earth glowed with a soft blue light, while behind the station, the Sun blazed with all its power and beauty. Min-ji could see the Solarians moving through the corona, their light bodies creating beautiful patterns as they worked and lived in their solar home. "Daily report ready," Director Yang, her assistant, said, bringing her a tablet. Min-ji smiled as she read the numbers. Every day brought new achievements and discoveries. Across Earth, thousands of Solarian energy collectors now provided clean power to billions of people. The old power plants had been replaced by smaller, more efficient solar facilities. The air was cleaner, the cities were brighter, and people everywhere had access to unlimited energy. "We have a transmission from the Solarian Academy," a technician announced. The main screen lit up with familiar patterns of light. The Academy was a joint project where Solarians taught humans about advanced solar science. "Your students are making excellent progress," the Solarian instructor said through the translation system. "They are beginning to understand how to shape solar energy directly, just as we do." Min-ji watched as the screen showed images from the Academy. Human scientists, protected by advanced shields, were learning to manipulate solar plasma using special tools developed by the Solarians. It was like watching people learn magic, except it was pure science. Later that day, Min-ji attended a virtual meeting with research centers around Earth. The Solarian network made it possible to communicate instantly across any distance, using paths of light that connected everyone together. "The new healing centers are showing amazing results," reported a doctor from Africa. "The Solarian light therapy is helping patients recover faster than we ever thought possible." "The ocean cleaning project is ahead of schedule," added a scientist from South America. "The solar-powered filters are removing pollution faster than predicted. The waters are becoming clear again." Min-ji made notes as each person reported their progress. The Solarians had kept their promise. They had shared their knowledge freely, helping humanity solve its biggest problems. But they had done more than that. They had taught humans how to solve problems for themselves. That evening, as the station's day shift ended, Min-ji received a special message from the Solarian Council. Their light patterns showed excitement as they shared their news. "We have detected signals from another young civilization," they announced, "a promising species in a nearby star system. Would humanity like to join us in making first contact? You could share your own experience of meeting us and help guide them as we guided you." Min-ji felt tears of joy in her eyes. In just 5 years, humans had gone from being students to becoming teachers themselves. They were now part of something much bigger, a community of stellar civilizations working together to help life flourish across the galaxy. As she looked out at the sun again, Min-ji saw several Solarians creating a beautiful light show, their way of celebrating this moment. Earth's cities sparkled below, powered by clean solar energy. The air was clear enough to see the continents clearly. Ships powered by Solarian technology moved quietly through the oceans and the skies. It was a new dawn for humanity, but really, it was just the beginning. The future stretched out before them, as bright and endless as the sun itself.